Okay, we're back in front of the camera today because I have something personal to talk about. And of course, technology has become, and has been for a while, deeply personal when we really think about it, right? We keep all of our data on our phones and our tablets and our computers. We have all of our pictures that we share with friends and family, documenting our life over time. We have our communications, our email, our text messages, our social media messaging. It's the way we keep up with people. It's the way we track ourselves. We have health devices, we have watches. I got two, I got the Oura Ring. We keep track of so many details with technology. And so it is very, very personal. But there's something about augmenting your body in a different way that feels even more personal. At the end of 2019, I got sick right around the time COVID-19 was starting to become a thing, and I had coworkers that had just visited China. Who knows? Whatever. It left me with hearing loss in my left ear. I went to an audiologist to confirm, because I had a ringing. I had the ringing in my ear, like low and high-pitched electrical noise. And the audiologist confirmed, yeah, you have hearing loss in your left ear, but your right ear's fine. So, you can get hearing aid, you can put up with it, whatever you want to do. I'm a musician, and I really wanted to have that better sense of stereo hearing, especially when I'm playing with other people. I play at my church. I want to be able to hear the vocalists and the other instrumentalists. So I picked up the Sony over-the-counter hearing aids first, the little tiny in-canal ones. And that was fine. But after like maybe a year or so, I migrated to the Eargos, which are very similar. They are in canal, tiny little hearing aids. And so I like these because they have this case that charges via USB-C, so I'm not always replacing batteries. So I've been using the Eargo for a while. I've been pretty happy with it. There are other things that I do to try to balance sound when I want to use like earbuds, because you can't really use earbuds with an in-canal hearing aid, right? There are other options that I've taken if I want to wear over-ear headphones, or if I want to use wired headphones. I've got Bluetooth DACs like the Ear Studio 100 and the FiO BTR 5 and 7. Those are great because they have applications that let you control sound across your device. If I have them paired with my phone or a tablet or even my e-reader, I have that application where I can set the balance a little bit better to suit me. There are products that I use on Windows and Android. Equalizer APO on Windows is great. It is honestly probably the best solution I've seen for balancing frequencies left and right. And when I use that, I almost feel normal when I'm using that one. SpotEQ on Android, SpotEQ 31, I believe it is on Android, is also really good. It lets you set different frequencies for your left side versus your right side. You can turn up the right side, turn down the left side. They're both fantastic. So if I want to use that with my Bluetooth earbuds on Windows or Android, I'm covered. There's Sound ID, which if you've heard of it, it's a sound preference software that you can run on Android or Windows. And some devices like this Grell True Wireless have it built in, so anything I use the Grell with will have my sound profile built in. So lots of little ways I've been able to deal with it. But recently, I don't remember when exactly it was, the AirPods Pro from Apple introduced a hearing aid feature, which I thought, that's great. More people will be helped, more people will learn they have hearing loss, and be able to have an option to be able to improve it, at least when you're using the AirPods. But I don't have an iPhone. That's good for everybody else. But recently, I learned that you can take the hearing aid test with an iPad, and I have an iPad Pro. I have an M1 iPad Pro that I've had for a while because I like to keep track of what's going on that side of the world. It's like, I need to check this out. So at least if nothing else, I can come and talk to you all about it. And so I picked up a pair of AirPods Pro 2. They are in this weird little case that I'm evaluating and getting ready to write a review on. It's fine. It's got the little pop-up. It's fun. I'm not here to talk about the case. The AirPods Pro 2. I've been hearing for years about AirPods and how good the noise cancellation is, how great the transparency is. And so I'm excited and pumped, right? Because I've used so many pairs of earbuds. I can't even list or name them all because I've reviewed so many and used so many at this point. But I will say, from a hearing aid perspective, the hearing test is exactly like what you'd expect if you've been through one before, if you've used Mimi, or if you've used Sound ID, or if you ever have tried a hearing aid. They're all pretty much the same. You go through a series of frequencies at different sound levels on your left and your right, and it comes out and it spits out a profile and it tells you, here are your results. And then it tailors the sound for that hearing profile. When you do it with the AirPods Pro, once you're done, it immediately puts you into hearing enhancement mode. And I want to talk about this for a minute because, like I said, I've been hearing for years about how good the transparency is on the AirPods Pro. And it is good, but it's different than real life. You always hear people saying, it's like not having anything in your ears at all. For me, that has not been the experience. Now, I'm not going to say it's bad, and I will caveat this by saying I'm using it in hearing aid mode, and that may be totally different than just using AirPods Pro out of the box, just regular transparency. For me, you hear, even when I had them both in with the right side, because I took it out to see, am I losing my mind? I put the right one back in. You hear white noise. Now, on my left side, totally understand. It's amplifying, and when you amplify, you're going to get white noise. But even like I said, when I take the right one out and put the right one back in, I hear a difference between reality and what's coming through the AirPod, and it has a sound. It has a more distinct white noise, ambient, environmental sound than real life, which is fine. It's in hearing aid mode. The noise cancellation is very good. I did try that out, and it probably is better than anything else I have. I think I would say right now the best I have for noise cancellation are probably the AZ80s from Technics. I haven't tried the AZ100s yet. But the transparency in hearing aid mode is, I had to adjust to it because, like I said, you really do hear just more noise. It's just noisy. But it does amplify frequencies from my left side pretty well. And I think my final evaluation of AirPods Pro as a hearing aid is that they're pretty good as a backup. And I say backup for two primary reasons. One is because they're big white things you just stick into your ears, right? There's no subtlety there. Now, AirPods are very mainstream and people are very used to them. So you could walk around in the real world, go to the grocery store, go to a restaurant. Most likely you're walking around the park. Nobody's gonna freak out that you have AirPods in, right? Because are you on the phone? Are you waiting for a call? Are you listening to music? Whatever. But we're used to people walking around with these big white things hanging out of their ears, right? But you wouldn't want that in all situations. If you're having a nice Valentine's Day weekend meal with your significant other, maybe you don't want these big white things. You got a nice outfit on, right? Doesn't fit with your aesthetic. That's just one of the aspects. And there's certain places, like I said, you may not want to wear them. I'm not going to wear them to church. That just doesn't look right. So that, I think, is a problem. Now, I think Apple could overcome that. If they really wanted, I think that they could do more in this market and really hurt some of these small companies that are making like Eargo. Some of these companies are making small, very capable hearing aids. If Apple really wanted to take this concept and make them remove the stems, make them a little bit smaller, even doing something, I don't know if you've ever seen the Samsung Galaxy Buds. These don't have stems. They are obvious, you can see them. They're not subtle per se, but I don't know if you remember Kim Kardashian did a skin tones thing with earbuds a while back where you could get them in colors that more matched your skin. And I think if Apple wanted to go down that road and do something smaller and stemless, I think that they could do a lot in this market to really push the idea of hearing aids, but they need to deal with issue 2, which is battery life. Because if you have the kind of hearing aids like the Sonys I had, and you have removable batteries, then that battery lasts hours, days, maybe weeks, depending on how often you use it, right? Because you take the battery out, you put the battery in, or you open up the little, you make sure you're not draining the battery when you're not using them. And even the eargoes, which again are rechargeable via USB-C, they last 12, 13 hours, so you can use them all day. And you don't have to worry about it. You put them back in the case charges them, you charge the case. You're good for a while. And if you take a little battery pack with you, over a weekend, you're fine. But the AirPods constantly, I shouldn't say constantly, but repeatedly would need charging. You wouldn't get through 12, 13 hours of using them. You'd have to put them back in the case periodically to get more charge out of them. So I think they'd have to address that one way or another. But I think if Apple addressed those 2 issues, they made them look a little bit more subtle, and they improved their battery life, I think Apple could do a lot in this hearing aid market, this over-the-counter hearing market, to shake things up, because they are actually pretty good. Once you get used to the extra noise, and if they could maybe deal a little bit better with comfort, because these hearing aids, the in-canal ones are tiny, and you do get used to them after a while. And they even have some now that you can get custom molding, so they fit your ear perfectly. And there was a company, I'm going to say it was Logitech, that had earbuds that you could custom mold out of the box. They would heat up, you stick them in your ear, and they kind of mold. I think Apple could do a lot here, I think, to really shake up the hearing aid market if they wanted to. But as it stands now, I think they're a good backup. If you've got the kind of hearing loss level that they are aimed at, which is mild to moderate, I think it's something that if you have hearing loss, you might want to consider just as use around the house as a backup for a hearing aid, because hearing aids are eventually going to fail. They constantly need to be kept clean and serviced and replaced or whatever. So having a backup, because once you get used to having a hearing aid, you don't want to be without it, right? So having a backup, I think, would be beneficial for people with hearing loss. So those are my thoughts on the AirPods as a hearing aid, and just a quick note on them as a music listening device. They are bright. For me, I like my music warm, and I like my bass. I want my treble. I need my mid-range, because again, as a musician that plays for a praise team and choirs, I need the mid-range for vocals. I need the mid-range to hear the piano and the keyboards. But I want to hear the drums. I want to hear the rhythm and the beat. I want to hear my bass, because I learn songs from bass line first, and then I add the chords on the top. So I need bass. And I find the AirPods are just a little bass light. The bass is there. I just personally want a little bit more. So I would probably still gravitate to my Technics or my Creative Orvana Ace Mimis. Review coming on those soon. I think for me, the balance suits my taste a little bit better. But I think the AirPods are really good for, obviously, mainstream audience, because that's what they're aimed at. They sound clear, they sound bright, but not too sharp. And I think for music, especially for spoken word, I find listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos with them, fantastic. Especially with the augmented hearing, because it does compensate for my hearing on the left side. I think they're pretty good, but I think Apple could do more. And that's what I got to say about the AirPods Pro 2. Thanks for watching.